lightworkers born in such a pivotal time in shift in human consciousness, each one of us owes ourselves the duty to master these 5 strengths. Hi, welcome or welcome back. I'm Ash. On my channel, we talk about all things unity consciousness, galactic wisdom, light language, and daily spiritual practices. So if this is something that you enjoy, hit that like and subscribe button and let's get into it. 2025 is a number 9 year. This means that we're going through a lot of closures and endings this year. This also means that this is one of the last years that the old paradigm will continue to exist in the old way. As we can see from all of the turmoil that's happening in the collective, all of the disclosures and all of the secrets about people in power coming out, the old way is crumbling. It's simply not sustainable anymore. And it's being replaced by the new paradigm that's supported by unity consciousness. So what this means for each of us is, as we watch the world as we know it start to crumble, and as we start to watch the world that we need for our children, for future generations become manifest, it's very important for each of us to stay grounded, to stay present in what's happening. And this is why I believe that these 5 strengths that I'm going to talk about, they're very important for each lightworker, starseed, energy worker to cultivate, so we can stay grounded, not only for ourselves, but everyone around us. In today's video, I'm going to go over these 5 strengths or qualities and how to cultivate them. So let's get into it. The very first thing that we must cultivate as we step in further and further into this age of Aquarius is self-love. Self-love is such a non-negotiable. And if you've been around on my channel for a while, you will know that I always talk about self-love as the very first step on our spiritual journey. This is because if our foundation of our personality is not built on self-love, if we don't speak kindly to ourselves, if we don't have compassion towards ourselves, we are not fully capable of giving that to another. So it's very important for us to cultivate self-love. So let's just talk about 3 easy ways that you can start cultivating self-love right away. The first way is watch how you speak to yourself. Watch how you speak to yourself, especially when you've done something wrong or you've messed up. It's very important that you offer yourself kindness and grace in these situations, and this is not about blame. But as you become more mindful and as you start to witness how you speak to yourself, implement corrective behavior. This means that if you start to notice that you're especially harsh on yourself in one type of situation, then start to give yourself more grace. Start to be more understanding. If you feel like you need some extra time to do a certain type of task, then give yourself that extra time. And as you implement this corrective behavior of speaking to yourself with kindness and grace instead of just being harsh, you have won half the battle as it comes to self-love. The second way that you can cultivate self-love is through being genuinely loving and forgiving towards yourself. This kind of rides off of the coattails of what I was saying before, but cultivate this genuine love and liking for yourself, and do this by forgiving all of those times in your life that you didn't support yourself. Forgiving yourself, again, is one of the foundational building blocks of self-love, which is the foundation on which our personality should be built. The third easy way to cultivate self-love is to celebrate yourself and your achievements. Oftentimes, we get lost with thinking about how far we have to go and we forget how far we've already come. So if you're someone that supported yourself and achieved things that you thought were impossible, then take a moment and celebrate yourself. Once you've cultivated this rock-solid foundation of self-love, the other 4 strengths I'm going to talk about will come relatively easily. The second strength is discipline. Discipline is the highest form of self-love. Discipline is something that helps us stick to our goals, stick to the promises that we've made to ourselves. And on this spiritual journey, as well as our journey as human beings on the material level, it's very important to develop discipline. Define what discipline means to you. This doesn't mean that you have to be so hard on yourself and never give yourself breaks. But whatever you think you need in terms of discipline in your life, please make sure that you get clear on it and implement it. Now, an easy way to cultivate discipline is to really get clear on why you're doing something. So I'll use myself as an example here. For me, my morning routine of meditation, movement, and prayer is very important. Because I'm a full-time energy healer and Akashic channel, it's very important for me to start the day off on the right note and start my day off feeling nice and grounded and connected with the divine. So for me, when there are days when I feel like, oh, I don't want to work out today, then I ask myself, how is this going to make me feel throughout the day, right? Why am I doing this? So I get very clear on my why. So anytime I feel like skipping my morning routine, then I remind myself of why I do it. I sleep better, I feel better throughout the day, my emotions are more protected, I'm more shielded, right, from external energies. So when I remind myself of the why, becoming consistent and sticking to my routine and cultivating discipline becomes very easy. So discipline is definitely a strength that you should be developing as a light worker. And the easiest way to cultivate this is to define your why and remind yourself of why you're doing something every time you feel like skipping it. Third strength is sovereignty. Sovereignty is realizing that not only are you a part of the divine, not only are you a part of the entire universe, you are also an individual. You're an individual with free will. You're an individual that is fully capable of thinking for yourself and making decisions based on your intuition. Sovereignty is one of the most important qualities and traits for starseeds and lightworkers to develop, because there's a lot of programming that goes around, especially from mainstream media in today's times. So when we start to question the narrative and we start to think for ourselves, then that's when we can stay grounded and make decisions for ourselves instead of being swayed by external opinions. The easiest way to cultivate sovereignty is to start to trust your intuition, right? Start to ask your intuition and consult your intuition before making any big moves, and develop this relationship of trust with yourself and with your intuition. This means that, let's say that there's some mainstream narrative that's urging you to do something. And if you can't decide if you want to do it or not, consult your intuition, right? Use your intuition, which is a gift that supports your sovereignty, and use your intuition to make decisions for yourself. That's the easiest way to cultivate sovereignty. The fourth strength is humility. Being light workers or star seeds means that we wake up before most other people. It means that all of our psychic senses, our psychic gifts come online before it comes online for most people in our circles. This calls us to develop a deep sense of humility and a deep sense of understanding that we have been given these gifts to serve people. Instead of thinking that we're better in some way and going off on an ego trip, that's not why we were given these gifts. So it's very important when you're a way shower, a forerunner, a light worker, to develop this deep sense of humility. And clearly the sun is agreeing with me, because look how bright the sun got as I speak about this. The easiest way to cultivate humility is to understand that there is a greater divine order in play, and that you and I are mere conduits of the divine. Once we realize that we are so deeply connected to everything and everyone around us, we lose this false sense of entitlement that tells us that we're better than someone else. And once we understand that we are all part of the same source and we're mirrors of each other, then that deep sense of humility is a natural side effect. The fifth strength is neutrality. When we observe this narrative of division and separation in the collective, and especially when we observe or witness people that are close to us indulging in this narrative of separation, it's very important for us to release all judgment and step into true neutrality. Neutrality means that you're not judging someone for a decision they made. You're showing compassion because you understand that there may be factors that you're not aware of. And above all else, neutrality means that you don't go off center and you don't get upset or triggered because someone else is behaving in a way that you don't agree with. Now, as light workers, I know that many of us have awakened before most people in our friend groups. And when this happens, it's very easy for us to fall into this hole of judging people. So I'm here to remind you that it's very, very important to cultivate neutrality and release judgment and realize that everyone is on their journey exactly where they need to be, as are you. And understanding that it's easier to just have compassion and be neutral than to judge someone and harbor that negative emotion. So it really helps you keep your vibration high when you release judgment. So the easiest way to cultivate neutrality is to start catching yourself when you judge people. And when you do that, release the judgment and replace it with a kind thought. When you do this, you're training yourself to become neutral no matter how large the trigger is. As a light worker, one of our duties to the collective is to be a positive beacon of light to everyone around us. This is very, very easily achieved when you master these 5 strengths that I just spoke about. If you have any questions about any of these strengths I spoke about, please leave them down below. And also, if you think that there are some other strengths that we should cultivate as light workers, as way showers, leave them down below as well. If my energy resonates with you, then consider booking a one-on-one session with me. I leave all my information down below. And thank you for being here and watching my videos. And with that, I will see you in my next one. Namaste.